cast is a lot of fun. I'm a tragic for gacha games, so very appropriate for me. What's up, Matt? Good to have you back. You haven't
good to have me back. I'm not the one. I'm not the one who's been gone. You're the one who's been gone. I've been
in
here.
my world,
and nice to have me back.
I've always been here, bro. I don't know what to say.
I've been here.
Can I just point out? This whole, like, there is a sun outside, and vitamin D is really important. I think you might be lacking that a little bit, just quietly.
No, it's okay.
Do you supplement it? You know? No? Okay. Well, hopefully the radiance from this incredible performance of these two teams will actually shine upon you, and by some form of sort of human photosynthesis, you can become energized and maybe get excited like I will between the Atlanta Reign and a very, very new-look Paris Eternal. What a fascinating match, because the Atlanta Reign, frankly, had a disastrous opening week of the Summer Showdown qualifiers, Matt. There were a couple bright spots, but frankly, they were overshadowed by the fact that this team has struggled to find their feet right now in the Jotes meta.
Yeah, not great for the Atlanta Reign, and I think a lot of the talk about them, and I think it's accurate, is that like they've been really good at our tournaments, and they kind of play up to those big moments. You got to make it to the tournaments, though, right? A pretty rough start to kick things off here. They do have Vigilante in the starting lineup today, so that's an acquisition they make to try and better the team here for the second part of the season, and we'll get to see him live in action to kick things off today.
Yeah, obviously, a bit of a shame, because I kind of wanted to see Ultraviolet going up against Luke Mino, two players that played together on that sort of Redbird Esports team that kind of ran through contenders in 2021. But we don't get that particular reunion right now. But, you know, I think the narrative, the broader narrative coming out of sort of the transition, I'm being nice with this, that we saw from the Justice was to make sure that each player had the best chance of kind of going in the direction they wanted to. So Vigilante says, this is where I want to be right now. And look, he's going to have to be a difference maker on this team, because the only individual that was really able to, show the level of performance from, previous stages was kind of Kai, Matt. He on the Sojourn was still creating a lot of those picks, right? These things that you can't really count on, but Kai delivers them. Obviously, he leads in, I think, final blows, right, for hitscan DPS players in the league by a decent amount. That guy delivers them. He serves up these final blows, these first picks. He's going to have to keep doing that for his team in this meta.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a requirement for the Atlanta Reign to try and get some wins. Let's take a look at the Paris Eternal today. I think the desk covered. I think you probably have, if you have Twitter, you've seen. They have a whole new team pretty mumuch. So you got Dove and the boys. No pictures yet, no cameras. Mystery players here, but no, we know them. They've been playing really well, in the tier 2 scene. And although it's tough to see players like going, right? Like you see players like Khan go to other teams and whatnot. If you're Paris, this is an opportunity to potentially upgrade this roster in a big way, and not just upgrade it for today, but upgrade it for the future, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this is a roster that's been, well, these players have definitely been sort of front runners in that contender scene, right? And we know that Paris, this team is also making a bit of a transition of their own, in terms of identity and even geography to some degree. So this is a way to sort of set yourself up to be future-proof here. These players are all very much proven quantities, in the past. I mean, if you think NA contenders and if you followed it, you know all of these guys. So a lot to be excited about for this team. But Matt, I'll be honest with you, you have a very volatile meta. One, in fairness, that at least players and contenders got to try first. A bit of volatile meta, and then a much really new look team here. So someone like Luke Mino, obviously, who spent a long time getting accolades in contenders, is going to have to be leading there from that back line.
Yeah, you're almost like why wasn't he an owl sooner, right? You kind of look at the resume of him right here, and it's a rebuild for Paris. It could have potentially happened whether it was last offseason or this offseason, but pull the trigger now while these players are available, because I guarantee you some of these players are looked at for other teams being picked up really soon as well, right? So get in there and try and get as much talent as possible.
So the couple things we're looking for. First of all, we're looking for the Paris Eternal to hit the ground running. A key to victory here is going to be to unsettle the Atlanta Reign by showing us, I guess, a level of comprehension of the metagame and of pro play at this level that the Atlanta Reign aren't going to be expecting. For Atlanta, we had a laundry list of wants from them after their performance last week. Kai needs to keep delivering, and like the guys on the couch has mentioned, Nero is a factor here. With speedily breathing down his neck, figuratively speaking, Nero said, I'm not feeling particularly comfortable right now. You're going to have to hope as an Atlanta fan that he's gotten his sea legs by now.
Well, it's also got to be tough, right? Because you've probably had speedily, you know, in some scrims. You've seen him play, very hyped up player, potentially coming in very soon. And like, you're also in a meta that like doesn't really vibe with you that well. And I think the desk kind of hit it. Like, Nero is so talented, but man, he's had a pretty rough go in terms of, you know, places that he's kind of like gone on to play from, right? Like, we knew how good he was with Guangzhou, and then ends up, you know, going over to the Shock, but they kind of have a really odd season compared to what we're usually used to.
But he looked great though in that Zombie Goats meta alongside Striker, right? I thought that was like a really good look from him.
He's always looked solid, even in this meta where you're like, well, maybe it's not the best for him. Like, you're not talking like he's played bad. It's just maybe one he's not exactly comfortable with. And both teams come out, mirror matchup, as I predicted earlier today on Twitter, and nothing too surprising.
Damn, bro, you just have to. Why do you have to remind everybody when you get a right prediction? Just let yourself have a right prediction, and people will remind you. That's what it means to be truly great. You know, do not have to tell people how smart you are.
Well, I mean, everybody else keeps telling everybody how smart they are, so why not me?
Oh, man. Kai goes down early. Both Sojourns played off angles at the start of this fight, and Dove was able to sort of find Kai as he attempted to converge on the fight himself. Good opening here for the Paris Eternal, and now the Reign need to play from inside this close quarters area, which means the Eternal are already ticking in capture percentage.
Yeah, and, you know, Paris getting the point here first, and with just how much sustain there is, you're going to be able to get, like, a pretty sizable amount of percentage off this, you would think, as you're going to lose Nero here as well. So this is not looking good for the Atlanta Reign. And as you mentioned, they're trying to get off to a better start. Like, they need to get wins in this tournament to actually qualify for when, you know, we do know they play well. As Gator mentioned, I think, to Danny in the post-game interview, when the money's on the line, they start to play well. You need to make it, though, to when the money's on the line. And I think, you know, a lot like how I felt like with Mag, and I don't think for the same reasons. I think it's really tough, especially in a meta like this, to just throw a new player in like right away as they bring in Vigilante here today.
How about 4 though, Matt? The Paris Eternal off to a great start here. Luke Mino picked off though by Kai at the beginning, and that's that first pick potential that Kai offers any team that picks him up. And that's a good start here for the Reign in that fight there. They're really able to convert that first pick into a solid roll.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's actually interesting. Like, what... No, obviously,
what's harder?
Bringing in one player, right, is not a large change, but the players around that one player already have so many habits, right? And like, they've been playing together. You know, really, it's been OG and Ultraviolet the entire season in for them, right? So, although it's just one player, it's a large change in just kind of like getting used to decision makings, and you know, maybe the decision making like Kai is not the same as like Decay was, right? In certain situations, and you would play things differently. I think changing the team like wholesale, so to speak, it's definitely not easier, right? But you don't have some of those like habits you may have to like really
you can develop your own structures from the ground up, right? I don't think Dove's going to be sat there like, all right, guys, you need to march to the beat of my drum. I'm pretty sure.
Everybody play around me.
I don't think that's the case. Look, great fight there from Krawi, by the way, and he's now going to go on with that Rampage. Connects on the 2, Sound Barrier going to be necessitated from OG instantly, and there it is, Kai in first picks. Name a better combo here. He's going to be booped forward, though. Luke Mino going to be able to find that elimination, but still the Paris Eternal are going to be evicted from the point here in a few moments. Mouthful down the pit. Hawk going to hold on to this ultimate if at all possible. Atlanta want to start to, again, get back in control.
Still, though, it's going to get Paris to one-fight territory. Take a kind of stab at all the ultimates across the board. Paris has nothing, so you're like looking at, and nothing in like a big way. So you're looking at a few fights here that may go rough for the Paris Eternal, because the Rampage, especially in the spots of the map where you're going to see the fight, Hawk should be able to get good value out of this.
Decent spot for it here.
It's like
Commanding Shout comes out though. So at least something from the Atlanta Reign, and Crowley went into the pit. Great boot from OG. What an opener in this fight. There's nothing the Eternal can do about that. They'll just be headed back, I guess, after flipping it.
Yeah, I was going to say the point flips, so Atlanta doesn't really gain a ton of percentage there, which is a huge benefit there.
Could have been. I was pretty scared.
The Paris Eternal. Yeah.
Lovely boop here. Obviously, Crowley, no real way to avoid that if he's already mid-boot. Hawk still holding on to the Rampage here. There won't be a whole lot to respond to that if that sort of comes down. Getting close to the Sound Barrier, that would be the required counter. A lot of poke damage on Paris as they advance.
Yeah, the benefit for the Atlanta Reign is that they were able to hold on a lot of their ultimates in that last fight, although didn't gain as much percentage. You think about it, like, in terms of percent, they'd probably be at 99 at this point if they actually had control at that point. But that'll be the sound barrier for Lucamino here at the perfect time.
Yeah, it comes out at exactly the right time, just to protect them from the effects of some of that rampage. And here, Hawk still able to push through and get rid of Crowley. It's traded, though. Vigilante goes down, and Melthal trying to climb, but he can't get away from Nero's questing blade. Another is Dove. His cut entwined. And it's 97 and counting here. The Paris Eternal looks like they've lost their opportunity to make an impact here. The first round on Ilios.
Just a large ultimate advantage for the Atlanta Reign in the second half of that point. And really, there was nothing the Paris Eternal can battle back from to be able to do so. Like, maybe if Crawley gets to the point there on the ball, like, makes it a little bit interesting. Because I think they had a rally and a blade coming up there. But still, you see how much of this meta, a lot like when you kind of think back to GOATs, it's like kind of like, you know, getting value out of these ultimates and knowing when to hold and, you know, how many you need in certain situations to give yourself an advantage. Because the thing is, a lot of other metas you look at, right? Ultimates are important, but like they're not the end all be all. This meta seems to be where, you know, if you use like an ultimate and they don't have anything, like with how powerful some of these ultimates are, like Sound Barrier, Rally, the Rampage, right? Blade, like, they're so impactful, like one of them is good enough to win a fight, right? So you're able to just stagger them and, you know, build up such a chest over such a long period of time that you can really start to snowball these fights in your favor after a long period.
Vigilante keeping Malthal honest there, forcing him to dash back up, otherwise he'd be knocked off the edge of the map by the whip shot. Nero poking at moderate range here. Sees Dove, a chance to apply some pressure. It's going to be the shout from both sides as Vigilante gets crumpled. Dove descends upon him there, but Nero was sitting in the back lines the entire time. He's able to trade out those Brigittas. Malthal a little low. No packs available here for the Paris Eternal or the Reign. So some of that damage, some of that poke damage is going to be a little bit more deadly here as Dove is forced to power slide away from Nero, continuing to pressure. And no one's paying any attention to this man.
And just like in the last round where we were on board with Hawk and you kind of saw everybody line up for a potential rampage, he doesn't lose it. We're on board with Nero here. You can see like 4 players sitting in that corner and everybody getting quite low, and you knew that's the perfect opportunity for the Genji to strike. He goes through, you know, 2-3 kills there with the dash. Now he's going to be 70% of a blade here, which is a lot of percentage towards that ultimate rather early.
You can see just how big a difference it makes not having Brigitte. Obviously the repair packs are crucial, but that Inspire on the point, just to get rid of a lot of that poke damage, a lot of that chip damage, really turns, you know, small hits from Nero into ones that hang around and put you at great risk of getting picked early. Oh, like that. Greening shout here from Crowley. Sound Barrier on board for Lucamino, and OG will have one available as well, but the Reign seem happy enough conceding the point here. So they're going to pop ultimates now. I don't think they intended to give up the point, but now they're going to decide if they commit behind the Sound Barrier. Either way, a bit of a glaring error here for the Atlanta Reign. They need to find a way to get back onto the point, but so far they come up with very little.
Yeah, they like trade sound barriers here, and like maybe you were thinking you're going to end up with this rally earlier on. You're going to have a blade early here, so see, maybe Nero's able to get some type of value with it.
Oh, everybody lines up for him. Not too shabby. Rack attack gets the rally, but it's cut short. Nero had already done so much damage to the Brig. Just one slash was all that was needed. I mean, losing Brig is pretty nasty. In any case, the deflect kill on Dove is good. But, I mean, losing her mid-rally in a fight you've got to win, yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, that's quite brutal to lose that rally. That gives a huge advantage to the Atlanta Reign because, you know, now you have your own rally coming up here shortly. Then Malthal goes to the high ground trying to challenge Nero, give the team some space to get out. As, oh man, Nero with another pick. Somebody says this meta doesn't really jive for him. He's playing quite well.
Well, Genji's really set up to look very impactful in this meta, and in general, just to be impactful, really. Consistent damage, you can really start to focus the target down who's not getting the attention of their Brig, and getting those health packs, and going in and securing kills with the Dragon Blade as well. If you time it properly around the Sound Barrier, it's pretty good. Here's the Rampage of response to Atlanta Reign's dive, but Hawk's going to go in with one of his own, and Lucamino, Crowley, and Dove all anti-heal for the time being. And Dove's on the menu. He's able to slide away from the carnage there for the time being, but Crowley's not nearly as lucky. And Atlanta Reign paint in red.
Yes, they push right up to the spawn door here. 90% they're going to just try and prevent players from coming out. It's looking at Nero.
Oh, no.
Are they going to be able to touch?
I mean, Perhaps. It doesn't matter. Spawn Camp's so strong in this metagame when you have the lead in the Eternal. Sure, a couple kills, but they don't get out of Spawn. A better showing from the Atlanta Reign, but still fairly back and forth. It's 14 final blows and 5 deaths for Nero leading the lobby.
Yeah, I thought Nero was really impactful on the Genji there in that map 1. I thought the first point was really close, back and forth. The second time, though, the Atlanta Reign really started to get their dominance.
Yeah, good looks for Atlanta Reign. Hawk quietly putting up a pretty decent scoreline as well. And perhaps the requests of some fans have been answered. Or perhaps you take more convincing. In that case, you want to stick around and see what else Atlanta have up their sleeve.
Two shots, dead in the ground, we ain't the same, pull up. 3 rounds, bro, you done. We let it rain, head pop. So look out when we in the zone, don't play around. I got a strap, put to your back, tell you now we laying it down, yeah. Bands up, trapped out, I bring the Dars, gang out. Look, don't wanna fade and drop out, got no clout. Think smart, this crucial. We ain't no average usual, nah. We let it rain, ain't seen a savage, who you?
Quite the baptism of fire for the Paris Eternal in this avian affair here as the Atlanta Reign take them to task on Ilios pretty comfortably, even topping it off with a little bit of spawn camp shenanigans at the end of that round on Ruins. Matt, Paris Eternal though, we sort of had a bit of a discussion about what it's like, changing one player on a team as opposed to sort of redoing the entire thing, and they looked pretty good, this Paris team, right? I think that, expectations are starting to increase of that roster's potential.
Signs of life. There's signs of life. They look good, and sometimes you need a roster change to just throw some energy in the mix, right? Like, you play with the same team for so long, you see the same results. Like, you need a little bit of a spark, right? Even if it's like something you kind of consider like an even for talent, you just need something to just brighten the room. I thought. The second point's a little bit ugly for the Paris Eternal, right? But I thought the first one, they were hanging in there. They had an advantage really early on, right? It's just that they fall behind in ultimates. They have a few kind of misses there.
Well,
second round is all spawn camp from the Atlanta Reign, right?
Yeah, they don't really keep Hawk in check in that second round, right? We just happened to be on Hawk's first-person view, and there's no Brig looking at him, no whip shots coming his way, and Nero's able to just get chip damage in and then follow it up, especially when, the pressure on rack attack became too much and the Brigs were picked off early. So, the Atlanta Reign, no surprises to see their composition here. Paris Eternal obviously messing about a little bit there in lobby before they come out here. Hollywood going to be our second map.
The one thing with the Brig here too, Mitch, is it's so easy, or maybe easier than even in the past, to get the Inspire rolling consistently. Because one of how it works out, but then two, because of the Junker Queen speed and then also the Lucio speed, being able to get the Brig in position. You're never in a situation where you can't get the Brig into a brawl type of range if you would want to. It just makes the healing from the Brig even stronger, right? You can keep the uptime really high here.
Yeah, absolutely. Paris here obviously making a switch back to the old Jotes. Yeah, to see if Duff sort of will prefer to play any Ashe at any point throughout the course of this series. All right, dash through there. That was Malthal returning to his back line. Disrupt the shot thrown down here. Keep an eye on Vigilante. A little bit low, but Kai, there it is. Death taxes and a headshot first pick for Kai.
Man, he is such an incredibly talented hit scan player, and it seems like a little bit maybe not streaky at times, but I mean, maybe that is it, right? Where sometimes he's able to make these shots look so easy that are insanely difficult for almost every other player in the league. Is when he's on fire, it just changes this team completely.
I don't think the Eternal were ready for that engagement at all from the Atlanta Reign. They get forward. Malthal had already dove into the back line of the Reign, and that seems like it precipitated Nero to go forward himself. The entirety of the Reign poured into the choke, and Paris weren't ready for it. Also, Malthal had used his dash, so would have to walk back to the fight if he wanted to be involved. Decent timing, and I wonder if that was the sort of signal for them.
I don't think they were ready for that. I also think it's hard to explain, but I think anybody who's probably played Overwatch or even
it's your job, so do
a professional level, yes, I will. For the Atlanta Reign, the speed and the pace of this game probably does not feel insanely fast, but for the Paris Eternal right now, it probably does. And that's one thing that you can tell, even if you end up in an Overwatch lobby with a bunch of players who are higher ranked than you, the game feels like it's moving at double speed for you, and for them it's just a normal game, right? It almost kind of feels like what we're seeing here is where the pace and the speed at which the Atlanta Reign can play at and play coordinated may just be a little bit higher than the Paris Eternal, right? Because they're getting in there, they're starting these fights, and Paris doesn't really seem ready for it here at the start. And Atlanta's able to win these, Mitch, without really kind of using much of anything, right? So they have a bunch of ultimates stocked up here.
And Vigilante's back in the fight as well. The only player picked off earlier on. Rally coming out for rack attack here, and Nero still wants to try his hand with the blade. He's able to get away scot-free somehow. And here's the blade from Malthal coming back. Vigilante's going to be the first man in the sights. And OG Sound Barrier is not going to be enough to keep the Brigitte alive. Sound Barrier here for the Eternal, though. Krawi goes a little bit low, but it's going to go in for the Rampage. Malthal anti-heal. That was actually by Hawk there. He was able to get the Genji for his trouble. Krawi having to back away a little bit. That disruptor shot makes it a little more dangerous to peek out of that room. But Paris get what they wanted. Kai eliminated by Duff means they can move up and begin this capture. But the Reign still have plays in reserve. Here we go. Rally from Vigilante. He held on to that one. Didn't have a choice from that previous fight there. The Eternal's still healthy enough, but they're not in a position to continue the capture. And this is buying time for Kai to return to the fight, Matt.
Yeah, and he's going to come around on a little bit of a flank here.
No.
He's going to take out Dove. He's right in his line of sight, but that's going to kick the fight off in favor of the Atlanta Reign. And I tell you what, I actually really like the way that the Paris Eternal played that fight. I actually think they had a window of an opportunity when Bottle uses the blade, and he actually kills Vigilante. Vigilante is like 90% towards a rally, and he doesn't actually get the effects of the sound barrier, like the sound barrier is coming down like right as the kill comes through. And I think that's their advantage when, you know, you don't have the effects of a rally potentially in play in that fight for the Atlanta Reign. Paris is a player up, and I think that's where they really needed to take the point, solidify a fight, win. They're just not able to do it with how much sustain there is.
Dove now needs to make this work. The overclock is the only key ultimate for the Eternal in this fight. He's chasing, he's hunting, and he gets OG. That's a one elimination, and with the Lucio out of the mix, rather, it's a decent opening here for the Paris Eternal to start to make their push. Nero getting close to a blade, so he needs to stay alive for as long as he possibly can. It could be the way to break the deadlock here. A lot of pressure on Kai, but he's going to be able to get away. It's a rally coming out for Rack Attack now, and Hawk is down. Ill omens indeed for the Atlanta Reign. They eventually are brought to their knees in overtime by the Eternal.
And you see how impactful the rally is, right? Rack Attack had it going. You also had the overclock, some nice kills there from Dove. That allows Paris Eternal to take this first point. Now they got to push up, right? Get Dove in this type high ground position. Maybe you get a kill or two coming out of the spawn, right? You're able to stagger the Atlanta Reign out, get some free payload progress here. It was pretty good defense, right, from the Atlanta Reign, but now Paris has this opportunity. Let's see what they do with it.
High ground control for now for Paris, although quite easy for the Reign to re-establish themselves at this level of verticality. Bit of poke damage on Hawk there, but he's not too bothered. A commanding shout thrown up just to make it easier to probably avoid a lot of that poke damage with a speed boost. For the Eternal, though, it's a different use. They're going to try and charge across the gangway and get to grips with the Atlanta Reign. Nero still holds onto that blade here. Some options maybe to force a sound barrier. He'd be happy enough with that, and that's what comes out. Luke Mino pops the ultimate, and still Nero's in the thick of things. Nobody, as usual, paying attention. So it's still 2 kills from Nero, and the Atlanta Reign now have a chance to solidify this hold here. There's 1 minute and 20 on the clock after a very ponderous push from the Eternal on that first point.
You got a pretty good amount of payload progress here, though, for the Eternal, right? About halfway, you think, towards that second checkpoint. Here's where the big test will be. Can they battle out of this position? We saw it on Ilios on Ruins, where the Atlanta Reign got really close to the spawn. It was difficult to get out. Can the Paris Eternal battle out from this type of position? Because they need to battle out, ideally, without investing ultimates, right?
Well, ultimate invested from Mouthful here. Goes forward with the blade. OG barely alive, and look at that. Hawk able to set up a kill there with the Rampage. Krawi going to be building that one up for the next fight, but looks like the Reign are happy enough to trade here at length. They're going to have to regroup as Hawk needs to get back to the fight.
Yeah, Atlanta ended up using some ultimates there. And it's interesting because they use some ultimates, which would have been ideal if Paris had ultimates kind of like throw in at it as well.
Sure.
Like to just deplete everybody and you have the defensive edge. But Paris didn't have anything to use outside of the blade. And look at this. They're going to get high ground control out of that. You're going to have Rally. You're going to have Rampage coming up here. So that actually kind of turns quite well for the Paris Eternal. Probably obviously not what they imagined, but that fight actually it doesn't go their way at first, but really in the long run looks pretty good.
Atlanta can't be happy with that. They lose a fight, man, on that high ground without Eternal really having to invest anything. Like a good disruptor shot placement from Dove and some awkwardness as the Reign try and sheepishly give ground. So the Eternal get a hold onto those ultimates, and here's the first of those aforementioned.
They should collapse on Nero back there. Yeah, he's still so alone.
He's still hanging out though, isn't he? Still alive. Dove gets some sporadic damage across the map, and Hawk is in a bit of an awkward spot. Likely to be brought down here as the OG and Vigilante try and give their lives for the cause. Unfortunately, it ends up being for naught as Dove will bring Kai down. And the Eternal, okay, so Atlanta go for a bit of a spawn
really well
camp day. They invariably give a bit of ult % over.
Yeah, which is not really the intent, right? The intent is for, like, what, we're at probably like 2 minutes left in the game at that point, in the half. For attack there for Paris Eternal. The idea for the Atlanta Reign is, like, if we push up to their spawn, like, use an ultimate or two, force them to use some ultimates to just get out of the spawn. You burn 30-40 seconds off the clock, you get back, you have the front spawn on defense, you win another fight. They're already on their offensive side here. But it did not go the way they had originally planned.
OD trades beat there for the Rampage of Krawi, and it ends up being worth it. Look, Mino invests a sound barrier, but they end up losing Krawi first. Not a great start, losing a bit of mobility and a lot of upfront damage there. The Paris Eternal once again gets stuck back inside the Jack-in-a-Box.
Yeah, and maybe now you can play a little bit closer here if you're the Atlanta Rain, right? Play at this door. The idea is to make it costly for the Paris Eternal to get back to the payload. Disruptive shot from Dove there, probably just trying to open up a little bit of that passageway so his teammates can get on through. As Nero will have a blade, and he'll have Malthus have a blade here, and he's going to pop it first.
Malthus commits. Finding his way to the back line, looking for Nero, who just was victorious in his engagement against Dove, and OG chases the Genji down. Good looking out for OG there, saves Nero's life, and the fight is a resounding victory for the Atlanta Rain. The Eternal will be brought to a stop here just inside that last phase of the map.
A pretty good offensive half, though, for the Paris Eternal, all things considering, right? With how brutal their start was. I mean, it almost didn't look like they were even going to take point A. To be able to take point A and take that second checkpoint, didn't really get much further than that, but still gives themselves a little bit of a fighter's chance here going into the second half.
I have to say, Kai, 12 final blows, 4 deaths for him. Dove being his opposite number, had 7, so big impact here again from the hit scan master on the side of the Atlanta Rain. Not all of them coming at right at the beginning of the fights here, but obviously there was a long fight on point A where Kai actually gets picked off first. The Rain buy enough time for him to come back, and he just trades himself. He comes back in and obviously gives his team a fighting chance on that point, especially with spawn advantage to play off of. So tough for the Paris Eternal. A lot of costly lessons learned for them as they tried to advance through the map. We'll see now how resilient they can be to, again, that looming threat, Matt, of Kai fighting at first pick. Are they going to be as adept as the Atlanta Rain at charging through that choke and sort of, being the ones that decide the pace? Because if the Rain get given the option to sort of dictate, I think they're going to roll over them.
Yeah, Dove started to come alive a little bit on the Sojourn towards the end there. You did see that come into play, so maybe Dove can start to match Kai in certain areas of the map. For a second there, we had Atlanta Rain hovering the Orisa. That would be quite surprising, but we're back on the Junker Queen now. It's not even a Hanzo pick out the spawn.
back to 2022.
Yeah, get the little battle cattle out.
If only. All right. So, okay, the Atlanta Rain get let through the choke here. The Eternal actually having a much more passive take on the defensive setup here. Dove takes a big hit there at the start of the fight, and Kai has a lot of space, but good response from the Paris Eternal there. The Rain group up towards that left-hand side stairway, and Malthus charges in. Gets his pound of flesh.
Interesting in the fact that, Paris Eternal, let the Atlanta Rain basically come in. They're not playing aggressively at the choke how we saw Atlanta play, right? They ended up backing up a little bit. They want to fight here in this open.
Oh, Vigilante's out of position. Yeah, he shield bashes forward, misses, and then is deep within enemy territory. All right, sorry, we caught that, Vigilante. 4K. No, just kidding. Who am I kidding? Okay. Again, the Eternal have been pushed off the point here. Malthus will deflect a couple of those shots, and now the Eternal will rotate around. Now the script is flipped.
They give up a tick.
Disrupt the shot again. Krawi down to half. Oh, blown up. I don't think he was ready for that at all. I guess there was no utility defensively to keep the Junker Queen alive. This is bad beats for the Paris Eternal now. No JQ for them. Hawk giving a lot of space to people like Kai there in the back line, and that is 2 ticks of capture progress. Rack Attack is going to get absolutely crumpled.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do there, right? You see, as soon as the shout comes online, they get right in his face. You're the Just the Brave. They got the Junker Queen and the Brigitte right in front of you, putting down some damage. No way you're going to be able to get out of there. So the Atlanta Rain, they take point A. 4 minutes and 30, a ton of time here. Let's see how they decide to play this, though. You see Nero already trying to stand up here and take some of this high ground control. Looks like they're going to have to concede those. Everybody for the Paris Eternal wants to get up here and try and fight for it.
Atlanta doing a much better job at keeping tabs on Malthus here. He's got 10 deaths, 6 final blows. Tough to really get any value here as he's looking for a way to get good use of the blade, but no chance there. He'll still try and pressure somewhat. Force the deflect now. Rack Attack wants to charge in. Luke Mino's there, but the Eternal, they're so split. What is happening here? Some are on the low ground, some on the high. Nero has a chance to survey his surroundings, and all the while, the cart is lumbering forward.
Yeah, albeit not at a fast pace, right? As teams just kind of just trading ultimates with no kills happening up on the high ground. Kai was the one on the cart, so he's going to back up a little bit here. Potentially some pressure was coming in as this overclock could be huge.
Oh my!
Nice shot.
That's nasty. Kai already causing problems for Dove in their head-to-head. And now he wants to seek out some of the aforementioned teammates. Krawi can't do too much here, completely surrounded by assailants, and Malthal more of a footnote there. Yeah, the Parents Eternal, tough way to start the fight for them. Kai is 15 final blows and 4 deaths to Dove, 7 and 8 respectively. Huge difference here in the Atlanta Reign, looking to pressure one of their usual advantages in matchups like this. They'll get home here, and it's 4 minutes and 37 seconds to finish the map. You see with a red box of victory is not far at all to go.
Yeah, I also think when we kind of talk about even some of like the stats and the deaths, especially with like Genji players, like with how aggressive they have to be, it's gonna happen, right? I don't think you're gonna be able to like put together these like crazy games because you're proper in that type of regard. That's just gonna connect with Krawi.
Yeah, doesn't go well. Dove's able to find the headshot, but all the while the cart is moving. Paris Eternal realize just how close they were to losing the round there. They're able to surge forward and contest. And now the Reign will have to have an honest man's reset here. Kai picks off Dove again. Serving up these free kills.
355. They have the, effectively, right, at this point, with how close the offensive spawn is, the Reign have, like, spawn advantage.
Barely alive is Malthal as a rampage comes in from Krawi, forcing Kai to the back of the pack here. He can no longer pressure that advantage again now. Luke Mino going very, very low, and Dove eventually is going to be forced to succumb. The Atlanta Reign have the numbers now. They have the firepower. Make no mistake, it's just going to be a desperate stall for the Paris Eternal here, and there's not much to be done. 2 maps in this series go the way of the Reign.
Yeah, Atlanta Reign, they look pretty good so far, especially with a new player in that support role in today with Vigilante. Playing for Ultraviolet, new pickup that they got from the Justice. I also gotta say, I think the Paris Eternal, right? Like, sometimes it hasn't been pretty, but you've seen a lot that you potentially like about this team. But they are new players, and you think just probably need a little bit more time to get on another level.
It doesn't matter what, form of the Paris Eternal, what kind of roster you get from them, you still have to deal with Kai, and he's 17 final blows and 4 deaths for the map. That is absolutely putrid showing here. Stick around, everybody. Another map still in this series at the very least as the Atlanta Reign look to close the book on this chapter real quick as the birds go at it, claws and wings. What better time to show off your art than the Summer Showdown? Share your art celebrating summertime in the Overwatch League on the Fan Art Gallery today. You might just see your art on the broadcast. Now, if you wanted to pick my circumstances, picture a garage in 100-degree weather, 4 high-powered lights shone at my shiny, massive forehead. And that should give you some inspiration to go on there, of course. That's my summer experience here at the Overwatch League. No Hawaii for us. We're chilling. You have AC at least, and a dog barking frequently. So, you know, take that as you like. But
yeah, I mean, it's not that bad.
Yeah, you chilling. You chilling.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of your thing, though. I mean, this is. I think this is where you're most moisturized in your lane and thriving.
Could be worse. I could be stuck in a truck with Jaws.
Oh, man. Okay, well, look.
I love you, Jack. I miss you, buddy.
Are those glasses real, by the way? They look like fashion glasses.
I see Jack on, like, the program thing, and as soon as I said that, I saw him look up like, wait, what?
Oh, dear. Hey.
Kai's pretty good.
Yeah, this guy's a menace. Look, I think also we assess Kai, I think, on an individual basis as well, but we also try and, you know, draw comparisons to how Dove sort of went, and you're seeing that... Yeah. You know, Kai is not that he's being allowed, quote unquote, to do this, right? Because a lot of these picks are coming before the fight starts, before there's even been like a neutral, or rather during the neutral, where you haven't really been given the time, if you're Mouthful or someone else, to actually put pressure on him. He's able to just find these fully charged railgun headshot kills on 200 HP targets and put his team at this huge advantage early on. This man is absolutely freaking invaluable in the meta like this. And that's why it's so astonishing that the Reign are performing better than they have so far.
I mean, 71% accuracy with the railgun shots, then 11 out of the 17 final blows come off the railgun kills.
Oh,
the hard part is like, if you're, whether you're like the Genji or, you know, the Sojourn or any of the supports, like, you know, when he's hitting shots like that and he's able to, you know, Sojourn has just like crazy movement, right? Being able to use like the slide and the jump and gain like an advantage and, you know, get a clean shot. Like, there's like really nothing you can... Like, what do you do? Like, like you just have to dodge it? Like, hope he misses? Like, I don't know. Like, there's really not much of an opportunity for them to, like, make a play against that.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of counterplay to, you know, individual talent like Kai in a meta, or at least with on a hero where, you know, sometimes you just get your headshot off, right? You don't have the luxury of everybody carrying a shield here, and even though Rack Attack had one, that wasn't protecting him in many of those situations anyway, so very scary.
Yeah.
And the Atlanta Reign want to leverage that inevitability of Kai to win more games in a meta like this. Last week, real dodgy. Right now, they're looking much better.
It's also why I'm excited, like, you know, once, you know, the game comes out, I get my hands on it. Like, I watch players like Kai, and I'm like, man, they're just dominating, which I think is great now because I can actually go in and not dominate. So it makes me feel like eventually, though, I'll be able to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, Rock's also a road after millions of years. So, yeah.
That's true. Maybe I just need a few million years of practice.
It's a question of how long, yeah. That's, I guess, another kind of inevitability, I suppose. Paris on the attack here. And then we'll be using the bridge here for some early poke. Sorry, what? Care to repeat that?
Uh-huh.
Can you repeat that? Oh, we've been past
I got dark. I assume you just said I was you're gonna kill me. That's kind of dark.
No,
not really.
Kai,
they've given up high ground completely here, but like it almost seems like they like want to have this brawl happen underneath. Like, you see how they we saw this in the Dallas series, right, where no, against, I think it was Toronto, where they actually opted to take the fights down here and, like, split out on each side.
Look what happens when you have no Kai at the start of the fight. Krabi getting pressured well here. Good packs from Vigilante. He also had to use the health pack himself.
Play off this
Mouthful.
Yeah.
All right, commanding shout there is pretty huge. That's at least going to get the Eternal out of trouble. They need to find a kill, though. Vigilante's shield is broken. Luke Mino. Okay, they realize they're just going to force this now. And eventually they do come out with a fight win. So Reign get bounced around that room for what feels like an eternity.
Yeah, and I wonder why they decided to give up high ground right away and play for that. Because Kai has been playing so well, right? Like, give your Sojourn, like, those sight lines to try and, you know, make a play, maybe play at the end of the tunnel. But I think, though, you play at the end of the tunnel, you're going to be in this same type of position, right, where you may have to play a little bit closer.
Sound barriers for both teams. Rack Attack with the rally. It seems to be a difference maker as Vigilante again picked off before he has a chance to use his ultimate. Not much the Reign can do under such lopsided circumstances, I suppose, now with Nero being felled by Dove. And that'll be 2 fights in a row for the Eternal, getting that first checkpoint here on Gibraltar.
They do end up using both support ults to get the cart over the line. And you'll have the rally coming back here for Vigilante, so maybe an opportunity for the Atlanta Reign to stop the bleeding, so to speak. But really good start here for the Paris Eternal.
So momentum now, wind in their sails, so to speak, as they got a lot of ground to cover here, but they've already managed to assume the pretty powerful position inside the rocket here. The Atlanta Reign, again, are going to try and brute force in a residence themselves here, but they need to deal with these Paris players playing from atop the shuttle. Again, good looks for the Paris Eternal here, actually putting together some really nice sequences as a team. Malthus with the blade, headed skyward. Not a lot of real targets presenting themselves here. Some free damage on Hawk. He'll have to be satisfied with that as Nero's going to be brought down. The damage of the slash, and Luke Mino's there to finish the job, but both teams have lost their Genjis here. The Paris Eternal, having used some of those ultimates they accrued over the last 2 successful fights, now find that momentum starting to dwindle.
That could be a big pick, though. You get this pick on the Dove now. Maybe with Dove taking out OG, maybe you can actually continue to move this payload on forward.
Dove with a fully charged rail there, no connection. He'll take some damage as the Reign adamant. They do not want to give up this high ground so easily. Nero steps up with a deflect and clears away the Eternal. But that card is getting very close to the checkpoint here, so the Reign are running out of time to actually make use of the shuttle. Here's a Rampage on 2, both backliners as well, no less. So Commanding Shout keeps Vigilante and OG alive for 8 time, but it's not long enough. Kai, though, comes in with the overclock. Crowie's brought down by Nero, and the Atlanta Reign get exactly what they need here. A huge stop on the Paris Eternal after their backline gets anti-healed.
I was going to say, that was, you get both backliners there with Vigilante and OG getting, anti-healed. And then it's just Kai, man. Overclock connects with 3 players. Stops everything in its tracks. And what, that's like 2 minutes already off the clock. Oh, OG takes out Dove. No, we don't exactly see that. It might have been just like kind of almost like pre-fire through the doorway, right? And he got so weak from something else. But and now you're going to be down right to below 2 minutes. And you started this with about 4 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of games in which the shuttle phase gets entirely circumvented just by an attacking team snowballing an advantage. But in the case that that doesn't happen, then it becomes a much more stickier experience. Paris multiple fights now, having lost. Trying to keep tabs on the Atlanta Reign, who can play pretty comfortably from the high ground. It's a rack attack rally, but it won't save Malthus. Oh, a hole gets bored straight through his chest as Kai finishes the job. And the Atlanta Reign now descend to try and finish the work they've begun. Luke Mina with a sound barrier here. OG had to use one earlier on, and that's all the ultimates expended now for the time being. We're down to brass tacks, ladies and gentlemen. As Kai gets into the corner of the room there, disrupt the shot throw now to get some extra damage on the Eternal as they try and use the boxes strategically. And again, they're sent packing.
And how, where is your path to victory here for the Paris Eternal to be able to take this second checkpoint? Because you look, the Atlanta Reign, Rally and Blade, this is going to be a devastating combo. What are you relying on? Are you relying on Dove to use the overclock, maybe get a few pickoffs? Kind of, because really you don't have any support ults, probably not a chance of getting them, and on the off chance end up with the Rampage, but Dove goes down first.
Yeah, he takes a ton of damage, and Nero just needs to breathe on him essentially to find that kill. Vigilante does use the rally there, so I guess that's at least a positive for the Eternal. They don't have to run into rationed ultimates from the Atlanta Reign now.
Yes and no, because they're going to have this Rampage, right? So if they try and push through this high ground, I think Hawk could get a huge Rampage. You're also going to have the overclock from Kai, and with how he's been shooting today, in the last map, 71% on those railgun shots. You think he's going to be able to find at least, what, 2?
Again, that early damage on Dove, not ideal. The disruptor shot throw down as well. This is dangerous. Junker Queen coming in from the backside. Kind of blowing up there. A lot of damage thrown his ways. Yeah, he couldn't believe it. Yet another memorable facial expression from a member of the power of the Atlanta Reign, excuse me. Kai trying to keep his team in it though, putting in the good work as he takes Dove down to half. That was not how I expected that to go.
No, but maybe this is a break for the Paris Eternal. We're going to go into OT, you're going to have a Blade, and you're going to have your Rally once Rag Attack gets back. So nothing available for the Atlanta Reign. They were kind of going all in on that fight.
Blade. Boop was good from OG, creating the space. Malthus swinging in air. Not ideal at all. Great zoning there on the enemy Genji during that Dragon Blade, and Vigilante finishes the job. Cold, hard reality, and a shield to the cranium for Malthus. The last thing he sees. Here it is. Rampage catches two. Vigilante goes down, and Hawk has seen better days. They cannot keep him alive. Luke Mino doubles down on the eliminations here. Krawi going low. Carnage there. Great swing at the Kai, but it's going to be a sound barrier coming out of 3 players from the Atlanta Rain trying to keep the dream alive, and Krawi eventually is going to get burnt down. It's Luke Mino on the cart now. And Malthus trying to get in here as the Tracer to help with the stall. But that's never a good sign there as the Atlanta Rain finish their defense here inside the shuttle phase.
Man, Kai is just, he's just on one today. What, 70% for the last map? 71%. You know, above that here on Gibraltar. I mean,
yeah,
it's
Kai has
tough.
81% railgun accuracy on this map, Matthew.
That's pretty good.
Dove, by comparison, just because it's a good way of providing contrast, 36.
Also, Dove being spawn killed a lot of the time. No real opportunity to build up charge or get railgun shots off. So, I think it's obviously a tremendous performance from Kai. I also think the Atlanta Rain are doing a better job of putting him in positions to be able to land rail shots than, like, let's say the Paris Eternal are for Dove here. You gotta figure out a way though, like, you know, in this, whether it's you know, Malthus getting on top of Kai, giving him some trouble, you know, Malthus and Dove, right, being able to like put pressure on him. If you give him that much space, and I think that second part of Gibraltar, right, where you have like so much high ground and so much space, like that's like a perfect part of the map for a, you know, character like Sojourn. Like, if you allow Kai to just have all that space and not really give him any trouble, I mean, that he's gonna do that. Like, his aim is just too good.
All right, Krawi playing forward early here. The Eternal really want to buy as much time as human or inhumanly possible as it may be. Hawk maybe not expecting Krawi to still be there on the cart. So the Atlanta Rain now have to unravel this little puzzle. The Paris Eternal playing all up in their business.
I kind of like this from the Paris Eternal. Because remember when we saw the Atlanta Rain play, they like kind of played almost like in that right underneath the underpass, like in the middle on both sides. I think even if you lose this fight, if you're the Paris Eternal, you're still going to get that fight.
Can I just say, I would love to know just how much deflect damage Nero did in that previous fight. He's deflected about 2,500 damage. So it's about the same as Malthus here, nothing over the course of the map, so nothing too special. But
you know you're reaching when you're comparing deflect damage on Genji.
Well, no, the only reason I checked is because I just saw Nero just like, he's like flicking to people as he's deflecting. Yeah. Like, he's really trying to get like the extra percentage out of whatever damage he's sending back. Gotta love the 1%ers. Yeah. Oh, man.
That'll be a custom 2-hour VOD review on Genji.
Oh, give it to me. Hey, everything is content, man. Sailor outfits, 2-hour VOD reviews about deflex, all content, all good.
Yep. You could do a VOD review of this, break down all these fights, or you could just tell people that Kai had an 80% railgun accuracy for like the whole series, and that's pretty much what happened here.
It is 86% accurate right now.
Yeah. When you have a player who is hitting railgun shots, which basically insta-kill half of the other team at an 81% clip, there's a very good chance you're gonna win.
Oh, okay.
There's another one.
Can't be serious. Oh. The stump of Krawi's neck steaming after that one. Kai charging up yet another rail, and of course nobody's paying attention to him, and he's more than happy with that, Matthew.
I also love, like, whenever we watch from Kai's POV, like, one, the gameplay is fantastic, and like he's like having like the wildest Sojourn like series we've ever seen, and he's just kind of like chilling, like it's like not a big deal.
Well,
like,
that's actually probably why I think he's so good, because he doesn't really get overhyped, right? Because that can affect your game as well. You start to get overhyped, start to get jittery, you play worse a lot of the time.
It's never as bad as you think it is, and never really as good as you think it is. Maybe this time it's as good as you think it is.
Maybe it's actually better than he thinks.
Maybe it's actually better, yeah.
We'll tell him after. Anyway, Malthus' blade coming up pretty dull there. Really no chance to make anything happen. The Eternal are pretty shattered right now. Morale, not good. A mass rout potentially in the works. Hawk has Now Rampage available here, and the Atlanta Reign basically have all the tools they need to create a winning situation. It's Luke Mino's sound barrier that the Eternal are going to have to rely on here. Here it is. It's going to get popped right now as Nero necessitates it. The Dragon Blade is out. A few targets there. Mouthful looking low, but Nero can't penetrate the backlines to find him. Rampage is out from both teams, but Krawi going to be the first casualty. Not a good sign for the Paris Eternal. May even herald their demise as Kai. What's scarier than a guy who hits all these rails? A guy that has fully charged rails all the time. Kai's able to charge forward now, and this is the death throes for the Paris Eternal. Rigor Mortis setting in as Malthul trying to run rings around the cart to stay in it, but the Atlanta Reign bounce back after a horrendous first week of this stage with a 3-0 win against this newly formed Eternal roster.
And look, I think the Paris Eternal, they played good on the first round of Control. They had moments in map 2 on Hollywood, right? Even here, I think they got off to a really good start. They just got overwhelmed, though, in the end, I feel like, that the Atlanta Reign came in. And Noah Kai specifically, right? Really setting the expectations and the tempo for this team. It was just, you were just not able to match it. I think for the Atlanta Reign, it's a great win today. But, you know, do you get that performance out of Kai every day? I mean, that's a bonkers level performance there, just playing on another level.
Look, I want to suggest that you don't need this performance out of Kai every day to win games in a metagame like this, the Atlanta Reign. In fact, you can get 70% of that every day and be extremely happy with it. Look, play of the match, a lot of Genjis are going to get, not today. I think if we didn't give it to Kai, we'd probably just be lambasted and we'd be strung up. So the town square would see us there hanging. It's going to be Kai, who's your player of the match here from the Atlanta Reign. I'm not even going to give you a drum roll because it's just the most obvious thing ever. Very impressive performance from start to finish, though. The Sojourn...
Yeah, you ruined my suspense, though.
Yeah, sorry. Again, no, this is why, like, you know, we kind of ask the question about why teams are sort of opting to go off the Sojourn, play the Ashe. There's a broader conversation to be had there. Kai doesn't even think about it for a second here, and we're very pleased to see the results of this Sojourn play.
I mean, you also know how he's fantastic on the Ashe as well, but I think the maps that they played today in this series, and just for the pace and style of play that the Atlanta Reign want to play, I think Sojourn is the right pick, and especially when he's playing this well on it. You play like this, and even like you mentioned, 70-80% of this, it's going to be difficult for really a lot of any teams to match this level of hit scan play. There's not many people in the league who can do what Kai just did. I mean, 69% railgun accuracy for the whole...
Nice!
I mean, that's crazy stats,
nice!
Man.
Nice!
Why are you screaming at me?
Sorry, my headset fell off. Because I was so flabbergasted by this Kai performance. I'm not screaming at you, I'm screaming with you. You're screaming internally, I know it. You just don't want to show it.
I mean, no. I never scream.
Look, I think like the flowchart, by the way, I think for team fights in this Junker Goats meta is normally Brig first, right? And that's why maybe Kai's not facing a lot of that scrutiny early on, and he's getting given that space here because a lot of the time like getting rid of that Brig, especially if they like mess up a shield bash and get out of position, taking the Brig and that Inspire healing out of the fight is really important if you want to win like a long grindy engagement here. But against a team like the Paris Eternal, you might actually want to get rid of Kai first, even if, you know, over the course of a long fight, he's not providing that kind of healing. Because, well, we see what happens if you don't get rid of him.
They tried, though, I think. There were times that they did try to, like, focus down and, like, make plays for Kai. I think that it was just the Atlanta Reign did a great job of just keeping him up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Very strong showing from the Atlanta Reign, showing some mirror image of what we saw last week. Stick around, of course. We're going to break this one down with our friends in the truck, and then we've still got another game to close out today and this weekend's matches. Don't go anywhere. This is the Summer Showdown Qualifiers.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break. I'm here with Nero from Paris. Paris. Atlanta Rain. Nero, I apologize. Sorry, I was just thinking about that match and just the wrong team came up. My apologies. Nero from Atlanta Rain. Bro, congratulations on the win. So 3-0, quick and easy victory for your team. What was the game plan going into today's match?
So this meta is like all about playing as a team, and like honestly we didn't play as a team in the last matches. We just focused on just doing everything as a team, pushing as a team, helping each other, and I think it just went well today. We played well.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of want to go in a little bit deeper about that aspect, because I remember you tweeted something about, saying that, you guys weren't too comfortable in the meta previously, the 2 losses that you guys had. But honestly, watching your match today against the Paris Eternal, it seems like you guys have finally found your footing. Do you agree with that? And also, like, for the past, I think, 6 days, like, what have you guys been working on to sort of improve that teamwork?
So obviously we got a new player, we got Vigilante, so we've had to build up the synergy again. And like I said, it's this meta is all about playing as a team and just moving as a unit, and we've definitely gotten better. And I feel like that's it. We got more time in the meta, we got more play time, and yeah, I mean, that's it. We just improved, we tried in practice. Okay,
and yeah, definitely shows. My final question for you is about the Paris Eternal, because I mean, I think everyone knows that Paris Eternal, they're a new team now. They have new players in their roster, and you guys were the first opponents for them. What were your expectations of the new Paris Eternal?
I haven't played versus these players before. They're like the new gen contenders players, so I didn't really know what to expect. But they've been playing this meta for way longer, so like I'm not gonna lie. I kind of expected more. I thought they were going to play better. Maybe they were nervous today. I think they'll get better. I think they were just nervous. Like, it was their first match in Overwatch League, so I think they'll get better.
Yeah. All right, Nero, that is it for the interview. Thank you so much for your time, and again, big congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Atlanta get their first win in the qualifiers, and they look good doing it as well. After going 0-2 in the first week, they of course get one back here against the Paris Eternal. Nero had a pretty good game on the Genji, you have to say as well. And I think we all expected a bit more from the Paris Eternal, but like he said, it's their first game in the Overwatch League. Maybe there were some nerves involved, and I think Matt made a good point as well about the tempo, adjusting to a very high pace of the Overwatch League, right? So the Atlanta Reign, though, clean 3-0 from them. Kai popped off, Nero popped off, Hawk is the Jote. They're back. It feels like the Atlanta Reign are back.
Let's slow the roll a little bit. Let's calm down. Let's all just calm down a little bit. They definitely looked improved. They look good. They beat Paris, a team that, we weren't sure what to expect from. And, I think they can definitely move on from that. For those Paris players, right? Like, they, as Nero said, they are the new generation of players coming out of contenders into the league. They definitely could have been nervous, but they didn't put up, their best performance. They played against a lot of these guys from the Atlanta Reign, like historically. They've all been in contenders in the past, but they've never played against Kai. And welcome to Kai. He welcome to Kai. Average railgun accuracy, and he was obviously the standout player. And Matt and Mitch sort of highlighted it a little bit. If you're the Atlanta Reign, you can't rely on this level of performance from Kai consistently, and they need to, obviously use that. You have that sort of trump up your sleeve. But they need to be playing together as a team, and they did that. And I'm excited to see more from them, especially with the new addition of Vigilante.
Yeah, but that's just a part of the Atlanta Reign, who they are, though. There's so many good Sojourn players in the league as well. Obviously, it helps when your Sojourn player is like an elite superstar, like Kai, right? But that's also a bit like the meta, Joss. Or do you think that the Atlanta Reign, when it comes to their team synergy, they have some ways to go with the support? Vigilante is new in the team, of course, and then Hawk as well, maybe more Rampage usage.
Yeah, Nero already put it perfectly, right? This meta is about teamwork, moving together as a group, and making sure you're not super layering your support ultimates and stuff like that. So it's going to take a little while for Vigilante to be completely integrated into the roster, but I think the best thing about Atlanta Reign, they've only just won their first game in the qualifiers, but they have superstar players in every single role, and adding Vigilante, you can almost get lifted up a little bit by Kai, by Hawk, and it's going to be an easier transition into the squad. Yeah, sure, maybe it takes another game or two. I still have full faith in Atlanta actually getting to the Summer Showdown.
Yeah, they play London, Houston, Gladiators.
Yeah, the Glads match is probably going to be pretty difficult, but the other two, pretty winnable. I don't think anybody needs to really count out the Atlanta Reign. They always manage to scrape into the actual tournament, and then they just go crazy. They are the tournament team. They get into the tournament.
As long as they're in.
They just start destroying it.
Yeah, as long as they're in, they're good.
Yeah, they took it 0-2 last week, but I still feel like it's the Atlanta Reign. No one really counted them out. We still they're going to improve, so no real worries for the Atlanta Reign. They'll continue to improve and maybe have a chance against the likes of Houston and the LA Gladiators. Quickly before we move on, I want to turn it to Paris Eternal. Quick initial impressions from these 4 new players, of course, adjusting to the Overwatch League. 0-3, not the way you want to start things, but still, there's talent there, there's potential there you can build upon, right?
Yeah, as Matt said, it's a different tempo, it's a different pace. You're dealing with Kai, who is just taking off your head like Dove. I don't know how many times he went for that slide at the pinnacle of his height. He just got caught by Kai every time. They'll learn all of those things over time, and as a team, will continue to grow. They are the new generation, but they're so green. They have not been playing against these top-level teams. It's going to take them a little bit to catch up to speed.
Yeah, and Kravi as well. He wasn't part of the original Odyssey core as well, so that's a new tank having to integrate with the supports, dictating the pace. The Paris Eternal, they have New York remaining, and the Florida Mayhem, and the LA Gladiators.
Yeah,
so
they're the Gladiators.
The tough
Gladiators are everywhere.
The rest of their matches, and then they get knocked out of the Summer Showdown by the Paris Eternal when they finally hit their peak.
Well, so they're actually playing the Gladiators next. I just left them for last because I wanted to give up the hope before.
So you lied to me. You lied to my face.
Paris might go 0-4, and then they'll play Florida and New York, but.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Winnable.
So in practice, there won't be room for hopium. Either you beat the Gladiators or, well, we'll see how they do next week. Anyway, time to move on to our final match of the week. To be honest, it's going to be the Toronto Defiant against the LA Gladiators. The LA Gladiators 0-3 so far. They started the stage 10-0, 2-time back-to-back stage champions, and now they're 10-5 on a bit of a losing streak here. This is a crucial match for them to be able to remain in contention for this stage playoff spot. What do they need to do to get it done against Toronto today?
Well, here's the thing. They don't need to overthink it. They have been playing well. They've been playing against the best teams. What's their record been? It's Dallas, Houston, and just recently San Francisco Shock. Yeah. So they've had 3 of probably the hardest matches that you can have in the West. It's about staying focused and being able to play your game. The one thing we always talk about the Toronto Defiant is they're a good team, but I feel like they very rarely exceed expectations to a high degree. This would be, in my opinion, one of Toronto's best wins that they would have in the tournament if they got this. And they have been playing better, but is it good enough to get over the Gladiators now that they have Happy, who went crazy in his first match in purple?
Yeah, Jaws, you predicted Toronto Defiant? Come on, I need the reason. You
Look,
went to Toronto.
Glad to down. They're down bad. Not even Unter's miracle magic moves after a winning game can sort them out. Toronto Defiant, it's going to be a 3-0.
A 3-0 for Toronto.
Easy peasy. Look, listen to me, okay?
Someone come get your
I am
mouse.
willing to bet money that's not going to be 3-0.
He's a legend. Hisu pops off. Look, as soon as the Hisu's lease, do you think anybody can stop him? No. No. Twilight Drone backline, immortal. Made of pure titanium.
Danny, do you buy into this? Do you buy into this propaganda?
I mean, yeah, sure, he sees Lease and Hoppa's there. But I mean, what if Happy is...
Happy.
Happy's going to be sad after this one, bro.
Bevster.
Okay. We're making these up on the
Reiner.
spot.
Making up words.
Bronner. What? Yeah.
That one kind of made sense, yeah.
Well, it's a bit of a work. Bit of a work in progress over here. We'll polish those out, Danny, and then stay tuned for the Watchpoint post show, and we'll run through all the nicknames we came up, alternating players' names. That and analysis, of course. All the highest quality analysis in the entire game. Yeah, maybe some Junker Queen changes as well. So stay tuned to the post show. It's going to be good. But before then, of course, we got to throw it over to our casters for the final match of the day. It's going to be Matt and Mitch once more. This time around, we're not going to show off Mitch's calves. Instead, we're going to actually talk about the game because we're a very professional league here. So we got to talk about the game.
Well, I didn't actually get to show off my calves last time. We could actually do that if you wanted. I didn't get to do it yet.
Do it now. Yeah, come on.
Do a flip on cam.
Nobody wants to see that.
Thank you.
There's a lot on
I'll show you the other one, but I think you've already had enough, all right? Yeah.
I gotta say,
don't know if you can handle it.
when Danny said Nero was for the Paris Eternal, Danny, you gotta watch that. We're too close to the trade deadline, man. People go left and right. Nero probably thought he found that right there on site. He was like, "Oh man, I'm embarrassed now. Wait, what?"
You can see him getting like a shepherd's crook come in and yoink him out of his chair.
Nero was just looking at me. I was like, oh. Yeah.
Again, we do need to be a little bit careful though, because this is how information flows. Sometimes doesn't go to the right person first. It maybe isn't inconceivable that Danny would find out about Nero's next team before him.
They got to get a lie detector test in that truck. There's no way Jaws believes any of this stuff he said.
Oh no. He's doing the Matt Morello thing though.
But at least I'm right when I do it though. I know. Did I ruin the desk with my 4 hours of being on it?
They're gonna win.
It's okay. You didn't say guarantee, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't say guarantee. That's true. Not the Matt Morello guarantee.
Matt Morello guarantee.
So what?
Just say whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. We'll let you guys go. Matt, you guys are going to work on your naming conventions a little bit, I think. So we'll give you a moment. Matt, all right, you got a guarantee for us then, Matthew? Because we have a chance here for you to make a pretty bold prediction about what you expect to see here. You've been kind of on point with those so far. So tell me what you expect to see in this matchup between the Toronto Defiant and the Los Angeles. I'm going to pull my...
This series is tough. This series is really tough to predict. Because I think you look at the Gladiators and you look at their roster as a whole, the addition of Happy, the success they've had in the season thus far, and you're like, how do you pick against them, right?
Yes.
But if you're just basing it off of what we've seen recently, although it's against very good teams, that they haven't been able to produce wins, and you're 2-1 if you're the Defiant, but you're kind of in do or die territory, right? With being able to qualify for your event, this is a massive game for them. Where I think map 1 is going to tell you a lot, right? What type of energy do the Gladiators come out with? What do we see from the Toronto Defiant? Pretty normal roster here for the Toronto Defiant. They've been playing this for a very long time now with these players in. Hisu, we saw a lot of the Ashe play the other day in the series. I believe that was Jaws and I casted. Wonder if we see them go towards the Sojourn.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty interesting actually to see Hisu play more Ashe, because after week 1, coming into week 16 rather, he was #1 in railgun kills, and final blows he was 3rd place. So was really showing that on both of those heroes he can have a huge impact. This team, I mean, we made the jokes about obviously trying to qualify for your own event, but this team looks pretty well positioned here to actually start to make a resurgence here after sort of floating around the middle of the pack for much of the season. Their opponents, though, are... I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this. They're fighting for any chance to be present in Toronto. The Gladiators, despite having had the upgrade of a lifetime to this roster, just like I'm astral projecting looking at this bloody lineup, but they are coming into this match at 0-3 so far in the Summer Showdown.
And I imagine there were lots of teams that were really interested and happy, right? This team, they have Padapan, they have Happy, they have Kevster, they have Ons, like absolutely loaded. In the damage dealer role. They must have felt like Happy, though, is worth it, right? I mean, that is a pretty loaded core of like hit scan players here for the Gladiators, and to see him come in and play a ton and obviously have some success, it's got to be scary for other teams, right? Because although the Gladiators may be like stumbling now, right? You don't expect this to be something that goes on for the remainder of the year. I think the overall team and just the coaching is just like too talented for that to happen, probably, quite frankly. That if you're Toronto, this is the time to strike, right? No, the Gladiators are as down as they could be, right? Like, this is where you need to take advantage. I mean, typically don't say kick them while they're down, but if you're Toronto, you need to win.
I mean, you need wins. They're down. You don't really care what
yeah, you don't
on the
care.
other side of the screen.
No.
I would all point out, obviously, the Gladiators tried a couple new things this stage, extending to, of course, and including Shu at DPS. So an opportunity for the Glads who've had a pretty solid overall season. This is a team that just turns up at LAN and just wins everything. So don't be too sort of disillusioned seeing 10-5 for their overall record, as those losses come against extremely quality teams. And again, more than half of those in that last week or so of play. The Gladiators here definitely need to show us something in this match if they have any designs on being present at the Summer Showdown and continuing the period of dominance at offline events so far this year. And again, last time these two went head-to-head, it was back in Week 9. A pretty convincing Gladiators win here. It's a lineup to dream of, Matt.
What's crazy is like, they haven't looked good in this tournament, but if they made the Summer Showdown and qualified, like, they'd be one of the scariest teams in the field, right? like at an in-person event, like this is a team you do not want to run up against, regardless. So Hisu actually was hovering over the Ashe, has switched to the Widow now. We'll see what they actually decide to run here for the Defiant. I think that'll be a big thing throughout the series, and it looks like the Ashe thus far. So in the series against Dallas, Mitch, the Ashe was not effective here on this map. Well, it was Busan, but they was not effective on control. Maybe a little bit more effective here with some of the longer sight lines. It was pretty effective, though, on Midtown. We'll see if that map's in the pool, but Hisu's going to have to pop off, be a big difference maker. I think the dynamites have to be huge here.
Creating heal pressure with those dynamites is pretty crucial here outside of burst healing. It's not really available here. Hisu does well, though, finds Happy. But although it's brought down, so the mobility advantage rests right now with the Gladiators, as Kevster may well be unchecked as he tries to pressure across the map. Hisu keeps him honest there with a glancing hit, but the Gladiators look to try and get more aggressive, playing that left-hand side, and Hotbar's going lower and lower.
Yes, Hotbar's going to use the shout, but doesn't give himself enough health to go up and fight, and doesn't get Twilight in a position to do so, but they get a few players weak. Funny Astro is weak for a while, and although it's going to go right through him, now they're going to try and get skewed out of the way.
A big part of that was their dynamite that connected care of Hisu. It's actually really frustrating. You can throw a repair pack into it, but the ticking damage is really quite frustrating to deal with.
Wait.
Yep, what about it, Matt? What about it?
It gave up a few extra % there. Maybe just trying to have everybody chase a kill, but I think the Ashe is really effective, Mitch, if you can land those dynamites and if you can keep that range consistently. But if you're not making them pay with the lack of just kind of burst, really high impact healing straight away with those dynamites, it's tough to really make it work.
So far though, Hisu getting value, trying to play across the map as much as possible there, and Kevster's trying to keep tabs again on that Ashe. Not in a position to push up though, even Disruptor shot thrown out by Happy to dissuade any further advancement from the Defiant.
It's a really early rally too from the Defiant. I mean, they rally, they get up there, and nothing happens.
Dangerous now because guess who's got the rally skewed? Comes in with his, and Chorong has to send the beat out now, and it gives the Defiant enough of a buffer to find a kill on Happy, but Funny Astro's going to be able to pop his beat a little bit later in the fight. And the Defiant are still not at full strength, and they're unlikely to be for the remainder of this engagement here as Kevster finally decides to dive in. Chorong hard pressed to get away alive here. Kevster will not give up the chase.
It's still a pretty good start, though, for the Toronto Defiant. I didn't really love the rally usage there. They didn't really get much out of it. Maybe they thought that they could use the rally, get in a position to get a kill and stop the Gladiators from advancing at the start, but that doesn't happen at all. Allows the Gladiators to be pretty free in their support ultimate usage as they get closer to the point. Here's a great opportunity, though, for the Defiant. Can you use the Bob effectively, right? Maybe just kind of take an angle, a little bit of an off angle for some damage. Be the Rampage from Hotba that comes in, and that doesn't connect with anybody, it looks like.
Yeah, Happy and Funny Astro get hit by it. Skewed doesn't, but Chorong sends him off the map anyway, so somehow he finds a kill, or otherwise he shouldn't have had it. Nice environmental there, but Kevster's able to respond, although he's down, but the Glads are not in control of the point here. So they're Defiant in a position to continue to grow that lead. Reiner takes a huge amount of damage because he's stationary at the start of the animation from Rampage. He still connects it well enough, and Happy now, with this overclock, is really applying the pressure, but the Glads need to get the point flip. They need to get rid of Hotba here. They need to start setting up a win condition.
Yeah, the Rampages, I think, from both sides have left a lot to be desired, and Toronto is doing a nice job of extending this, right? You're going to get up to final fight territory for them. The Gladiators pretty costly to make that happen. Where now Toronto, they'll come in, they'll have this rally, and they'll have Blade. It's an awesome combination to use together to be able to break this setup.
Although, we'll be able to play that much more aggressively with that extra ticking heal during the fight. Kevster's not too far away from his either, and Funny Astro will have a response, so I'm interested to see how the sequencing of those key ultimates plays out in the next few moments. Defiant, they win here, they win the round, almost guaranteed. Early pressure here on
get the rally now.
Although takes a big hit from a railgun, it's time to go. That's the rally, although looking for his entry point here. Realizes that he doesn't need it. In fact, the rally's enough to force the Gladiators back now, so Los Angeles suffer no casualties. The Defiant want to dig a little bit deeper though, and here they go after Happy. Great sound barrier from Funny Astro. He chases after Happy to make sure that he gets that overshield. Kevster can't quite get purchase on Twilight there. It would have been an elimination if he could get a little closer. But the Glads now use that rally to try and approach. They've got both those support ultimates down. Here's a commanding shout from Hotba. It's the Defiant try and end it here.
Yeah, and Bob is going to be coming online here shortly for the Defiant, and they're going to lose Reiner. That's huge pick off there for the Defiant, but can Happy bring it back?
He's trying to deal with all this pressure that Kevster's applying, but he leaves the point. Turns out, so do the rest of the Gladiators in that moment. Nicely done by the Defiant here, looking just a little better in that round.
Yeah, and the fight doesn't kick off the way the Defiant want to. I actually thought the Gladiators played it quite well because when Twilight uses the rally, they're trying to force Funny Astro to use a beat in that position and then Blade, right? But they use the rally, and the Gladiators are smart enough to, they're willing to give up the point and not use that sound barrier straight away. And then they have it for the Blade, so the Blade wasn't super effective, but man, Chorong, nice boop here off the map of Skewed, and then that early pick on Reiner there towards the end. Gonna put everything away for the Defiant there, so big round one for Toronto. Can you play the Ashe here, though? I mean, this is going to be tough. Ruins, long sight lines, right? Even metas where you don't see Widow often, you can see Widow there. This feels like way more in Sojourn's effective range, this map.
I mean, maybe for railguns, but you can definitely, if you're playing defensively, play from the high ground, that left-hand side where Hisu is there, you can throw Dynamite to the point pretty easily. So you can get value there if you Dynamite first and then step up to try and get a better sight line. Hotba has to use Commanding Shout there. There's just a lot of utility being thrown his way. And so the Defiant actually have to give up this sort of pole position. Yeah, that step back. Funny Astro, though. Bit of an overextension. He
was low. Funny Astro actually, he doesn't actually push forward there. He was on the backside of the pole, and I don't know if Hisu even saw him, but Hisu connected with the Dynamite onto him, and then Funny Astro took a little bit of damage. He was so low. And they don't have Inspire rolling there, so he just ends up just taking a wayward shot. Okay. Yeah, he just takes a wayward shot there from Hotba, which, because it's interesting. Could you probably keep Funny Astro alive? Probably, but are you going to have to, use 2 repair packs, right?
That's what I'm saying, that the heal
is that
pressure
the best
created.
value out of that? Yeah.
No, it's awful value. Especially if you're not in a position, if like you're in like a neutral at range, you can't get Inspire procs outside of Whip Shot.
Right. And are you forced to like use like more of like the Lucio Aura for healing, right? And amp that. Ideally, you'd like to use the speed.
Or if there's a situation where your team's forced to use a shout just to keep you alive as well. There's a ton of ways in which hitting a Dynamite is just really punishing.
He's just still rocking the fusion spray.
Yep. Love to see it.
Maybe update that.
The Defiant looking really comfortable here. Again, if you give the Ashe enough space, she can be a real problem. Rally here for Skewed now. Twilight gets his just in time.
It's been a really odd start to this point. Like, outside of the kill on a Funny Astro, and obviously some of the kills that probably happen right now, like, for a very long time, there's, like, really, like, nothing going on, right? Like, no team's able to find any kills. There's, this has really been all Defiant here on our second point. You're gonna have this next fight kick off, like, 75%, 80% on the point. Gladiators with some ultimates here to be able to use to take this back, but even if the Gladiators invest here, right, Mitch, and take this back, you're still looking at a huge advantage for the Defiant in the overall map. Like, easily could take Lighthouse and find themselves up 1-0 in the series.
Although has quietly been putting in a huge performance, Happy has to find that kill to start this fight up and put his team on the front foot at the very least. And yet the Gladiators still decide to go for the sound barrier on top just for insurance. And sure enough, Happy will find the mark and the Gladiators will get in control. But 94 plays 4 here as the Defiant have been all over the scoreboard, the right side of it at the very least, i.e. the correct side, not the actual right side, because that would be bad for them, for the whole round so far.
You don't build up really any significant ultimate charge on your supports, which is a little bit worrying there for the Defiant, but maybe you come back with a big Rampage, right? They don't have a Rally, they don't have Sound Barrier to go with this, or a Rampage available for Reiner. Maybe if your Rampage can force out theirs and the Blade, you're okay with that, right? And you come back in another fight, and that's the fight you really game plan to win. Thing for the Defiant is they can't just stand around and waste this time. They have to kind of have an idea of what you're going to do here with the ultimate economy.
Reiner hit by that Rampage, but crucially, Skewed is too. Reiner holds onto that ultimate here as he knows the Gladiators need to win a few consecutive fights, and Kessler eventually is going to get brought down here. Dangerous for the Gladiators now. It's going to be a Rampage user. That might have been just from Reiner to try and stay on the point. He got booped off, and that might have been the end of him. So he has to ult there. Funny Astro looking dangerous here as well, just trying to play around the point and, again, create some environmental kill pressure as Hopper goes so low. Good timing, though, here from Twilight. He comes straight on in with a shield bash, announces his entry. But Kevster gets rid of Jesus' teammate before he has a chance to really intervene. It's a Bob in neutral position out in the courtyard. He sends over towards the point. And that's going to be enough to bring Funny Astro down. A very good look for the Toronto Defiant is clearly the Glads are still looking for answers in this metagame.
Yeah, they do not seem comfortable playing this right now. Toronto looked fantastic there in map number 1. They make the Ashe work. Bob there, taking some off angles. Not a lot of... I think Bob is best used in situations like that, right? Where you're in these fights where they're, a little bit more drawn out. You're exchanging these kills, and there's not enough damage from the Gladiators to just burn him down really fast. He has to just kind of exist and provides a little bit of that crossfire.
Good look for the Defiant. It's been said a few times already. This meta's all about coordination, and the Defiant seem to be in lockstep with one another. The Gladiators here again, they're fighting for their chance, even just the chance to be in Toronto live. Let's see if they can dig a little deeper after this.